Extra point taken. Last week, you closed the chapter on the Zach Wilson era. This week, I have to close the chapter. Benjamin Solak, one of the greatest streaks in sports, is over. We've talked about it often on this pod. I know many of you listeners who tweeted at me and said, hey, we're complete as salsa. We listen to every minute of every episode. I appreciate that. You tweeted at me as that it was unfolding on Sunday afternoon. So I haven't seen Solak that excited. He was very excited about it. The Steelers had gone 45 straight games under Matthew F. Canada. I don't know what his middle name is, without gaining 400 yards. The rest of the NFL in that span did it 333 times. It was a span from 2021 through week 11 of 2023. Again, Steelers went 45 straight games without gaining 400 yards. Rest of the NFL did it 333 times. Last weekend, first game without Matt. It almost feels mean. I feel like I'm being mean. It's just fun. It's okay. It's just sports. He's making money. Yes. He's fine. Yeah.
The problem is it's sensational, right? It is a legitimate sensation. I wish there was a good way to data viz the fact that the game right before they hired him, they had over 400 yards. And then the first game after they fired him, after a total dearth, it's an incredible stat.
So Steelers had 421 yards. Kenny Pickett was throwing the football in the middle of the football field. There weren't there wasn't the caution yellow. No, do not. No, he was allowed to throw the ball there. Pat Freiermuth having a monster game. Run game outstanding. Credit to Benny Souls, who on the Friday show was saying, hey, Najee Harris is playing better football. That was like as good as Najee Harris has looked in his career on Sunday. He looked fantastic in that game. Jalen Warren could have used one more yard, but we'll get to that on the Friday show. Real tough one. So yes, credit to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The streak is over. If anybody has any suggestions on a new streak that I can be obsessed with, something equally as stupid that I can just tweet something out every week, hey, the streak is alive. I can use it in my column when I make the picks. I would really appreciate that. But Steelers win against the Bengals. Guess what? Mike Thomas just doing it again. What does he say? Our job is to win. And he just finds another way to win. Right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers own the 5 seed. They're not even just sneaking in the 7 seed. They own the 5 seed in the AFC, Ben. Their remaining games, Cardinals, Patriots, Bengals, and then they have some tougher ones. If they go 3-3, they're almost certainly going to make it to the postseason. So numbers aside, I thought that was a very encouraging performance from the Steelers offense. Was it perfect? No, but it's like, it's like what we talked about a couple weeks ago. Like, they have some good players on this offense where if you can get someone to put the quarterback in position to succeed and he doesn't have to be perfect, then maybe you can do some things. They didn't light it up. They didn't have 30 points, but they moved the football pretty well there. And I think it's encouraging as you look to the final 6 weeks of the season. All right.
Sheil, the AFC Wildcard Teams. I talked about how if I ran into the Bills, I'd be shaking in my boots, right? If we talk about teams that are like actually making the AFC Wildcard, if we talk about the Texans, Steelers, Colts are there for some reason. Who else got Browns, right? So talk about these teams that have good legitimate shots here. I really would not I don't want to run into the Steelers team. Firstly, as I've always said about the team, we've said 1,000 times, they drag you down to the muck and they make you play your game. You don't get to play. They make you play their game. You don't get to play your game against the Steelers. You never do. Unless you're the 49ers. You only have to play their game of just disjointed drives and failed third down conversions and punts in field position. They take you out to the deep water and they know what it's like and you don't, right? And so, firstly, they're a tough draw. Secondly, and I didn't want to say this because I'm not ready for the take, but whatever, we're here. The offense is, they're good. They might be good. They might just be actually good. I've been so long a Steelers no. This team's definitely bad. This running game, man, it is diverse. It's got multiple heads. They got a ton of good blockers. This running game is a handful with the way that Warren plays. And I think Najee's a fine player. And then when they can actually utilize play action the way it's supposed to be used, the number of people, Sheil, who on the first pass attempts, Pat Freiermuth, play action over the middle of the field, hit me up, right? You got Canada 400 yards. I got they just play action over the middle of the field. Yay! They did it what it's supposed to be used for. When you get to leverage the running game and then leverage play action the way that you should, becomes a little bit of a scarier offense. Obviously, only 16 points, but they had red zone turnovers like this, in terms of expected points, should have been a better day. This entire pod has been, for some reason or another, me just naming young players who have really settled in over the course of the season. So we should end on the crowning jewel. Joey Porter Jr. Man, every time I talked about this Steelers team in the preseason, what I talked about, I said, I do not trust this secondary. I looked at this corner room. They got no shot. Porter Jr. is going to get called for a couple penalties per game. He's a young player. He's always been a grabby player, whatever. But man, he's a blanket. I mean, he just takes the light out of the room. Dude, he suffocates on the outside. He is a very, very impressive young player who they brought along in a nice way. That's helping solve one of their big problems there on defense. Porter Jr. has been a big part of that improvement. I think the Steelers, by the time we get to January, are going to be like an actual, real hard team to beat. Not a fake hard team to beat, though they already are that. They're also going to be a real hard team to beat. Obnoxious.
It's nice that you can come around here to the 13th in offensive DVOA. They're better in offensive DVOA than the Jaguars, the Packers, the Seahawks, like some of these other teams. They've played the hardest schedule of opposing defenses, which Matt Canada is probably like, you could have pointed that out a couple of weeks ago to help my case a little bit, but it's only going to get easier from here. So congratulations to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, if you have any recommendations on what I can do to fill this void in my life, now that I don't have that to tweet out anymore, to look up every week, I would really appreciate that. All right.